Welcome, gentlemen. The moment you stop conforming is when you begin to become dangerous. Society expects people to follow a script, be social, seek approval, and fit in. But Sigma men walk a completely different path. You've always felt different, haven't you? Not in a way that makes you superior, but in a way that sets you free. You don't chase validation. You don't play social games. And you don't force yourself into places where you don't belong. And because of that, people don't always understand you. They call you distant, strange, even intimidating. But here's the truth. Your so-called weird habits are what set you apart. They're proof that you live by your own rules. You don't speak just to fill the silence. You observe more than you talk. You distance yourself when the energy isn't right. You disappear when you need to reset, and you only return when you choose to. That's not weakness. That's power. Some will misunderstand you. Let them. Others will underestimate you. Let them. Your strength has never lain in being seen, but in being uncontrollable. Today, we'll analyze 11 unusual habits that every Sigma man has, not to change them, but to embrace them. If any of these resonate with you, know this, you're not broken. You're simply built differently, and that's exactly why you win. Number 1, ignoring calls and messages for no apparent reason. Has anyone ever bombarded you with texts asking, "Why didn't you answer?" Or, "Are you mad at me?" while you're sitting there, perfectly calm, wondering why people expect an instant reply the second they send a message? Here's the thing. Sigma men don't operate under society's unspoken rule of instant communication. They don't feel the need to be constantly available just because technology allows it. If they don't consider a conversation urgent or meaningful, they simply don't engage. It's not personal. It's not arrogance. It's just how they function. Most people check their phones obsessively, feeling anxious if they don't respond immediately. Sigma men are the opposite. They can go hours, days, even weeks without replying to a message, without a second thought. They don't ignore people out of spite. They just prioritize their peace over obligations. If a message doesn't require immediate attention, they'll handle it on their own time. This habit confuses and sometimes frustrates people, especially those who equate quick replies with care. But here's the truth. Sigma men value their energy. They're not here to entertain trivial conversations, force compliments, or unnecessary check-ins. When they respond, it's because they genuinely want to, not because they feel pressured. And let's be real, when they do reply, it's usually short and straight to the point. No fluff, no unnecessary explanations, just the information that matters. That's because Sigma men don't waste words. They'd rather communicate with purpose than engage in endless, meaningless exchanges. So if a Sigma man doesn't reply to your message right away, don't take it personally. He's not playing games. He's choosing when and how to engage on his own terms. And if that bothers you, well, that's your problem, not his. Number 2, mentally checking out of conversations while nodding. Have you ever found yourself trapped in a conversation where someone keeps talking, but you stopped listening 5 minutes ago? You're there, nodding at the right moments, maybe throw in a "yeah, that makes sense," or "crazy" to keep up the illusion, while your mind is 1,000 miles away, analyzing, planning, or just enjoying the silence in your head. This isn't rudeness. It's efficiency. Sigma men have an internal filter that automatically sorts conversations into valuable and unnecessary noise. If a discussion lacks purpose, depth, or relevance, their brain switches to energy-saving mode. Their body stays in the conversation, but their mind is somewhere else, solving problems, thinking about a future project, or just embracing the peaceful void of nothingness. People often mistake this for disinterest, but the truth is, Sigma men do listen, just selectively. If someone brings ideas, fresh perspectives, or an interesting angle, they're fully present. But if it's gossip, small talk, or just someone talking for the sake of talking, that's when the mental exit happens. It's not personal. It's about conserving energy. Most people feel obligated to participate in every conversation out of politeness. Sigma men don't fake interest where there is none. They've mastered the art of seeming present while mentally retreating. They'll nod, maintain eye contact, and give just enough verbal cues to keep things moving, but internally, they're already elsewhere. And here's the best part. Most people don't even notice. They're so caught up in their own words that they don't realize the Sigma man checked out 5 minutes ago. That's the beauty of it. No arguments, no forced interactions, just a silent, strategic withdrawal from meaningless chatter. So if you see a Sigma man nodding while looking oddly calm, don't assume he's fully engaged. He might be mentally in a much more interesting place. And honestly, can you blame him? Number 3, obsessing over random topics for no logical reason. Sigma men have a habit that might seem strange to most. They obsess over something, dive deep into it, and then just drop it. 1 week, they're reading everything they can about ancient philosophy, and the next, they're completely absorbed in the complexities of quantum physics. It's not because they're trying to impress or fit some intellectual mold. It's pure curiosity. For Sigma men, learning is more about the journey than the destination. They latch onto a topic, devour it from every angle, books, podcasts, documentaries, even obscure articles no one else would bother reading. And when they feel they've extracted every last drop of value, they move on. It's not about being consistent or mastering one thing. It's about feeding their endless hunger for knowledge, exploring whatever catches their interest in the moment. But here's the thing. This habit is misunderstood. On the surface, it might look like they lack focus or are easily distracted. But it's actually the opposite. They see no value in clinging to one thing forever. Instead, they test their mental flexibility by jumping from topic to topic, training their mind to adapt, learn quickly, and think outside the box. If something no longer adds real value to their life, they simply let it go. No guilt, no second thoughts. They know what they need, and when it's time to move on, they do. And don't be fooled. These random deep dives often give them surprising insights. They can connect concepts from seemingly unrelated topics, creating unique viewpoints others wouldn't even think to link. They don't learn to be smart. They learn to think. So the next time you see a Sigma man obsessing over something you consider random, know this, it's not just a phase. It's his way of sharpening his mind, pushing his limits, and constantly evolving. And when he drops it, he's already on to the next mental adventure. Number 4, letting people assume they're poor or unsuccessful. Sigma men have mastered the art of being underestimated. They don't flaunt their wealth, achievements, or intelligence. If people assume they're struggling, they let them. If others think they're average, they don't correct them. Why? Because being underestimated is one of life's greatest advantages. Most people crave validation. They need others to see their success, recognize their intelligence, and admire their accomplishments. Sigma men don't care about that. They have nothing to prove and no desire to impress. Their mindset is simple. Why reveal my strengths when I can observe yours first? By staying low profile, they avoid unnecessary attention and fake admiration. Opportunists don't bother them because there's nothing visible to exploit. People don't ask them for favors, try to leverage their connections, or treat them differently based on assumptions about their wealth or power. But make no mistake, this isn't self-sabotage, it's strategy. A Sigma man would rather have someone think he's poor than waste time explaining his success to people who don't matter. He'd rather be seen as insignificant than attract people who only respect him for superficial reasons. And when the time comes to reveal his true capabilities, it always catches people off guard. The best part? This habit filters out the wrong people. It exposes those who judge by appearances, those who only respect obvious status, and those who quickly dismiss someone they think has nothing to offer. Sigma men use this to their advantage, observing in silence, learning who's genuine, and deciding who deserves to know the truth. So if a Sigma man lets you believe he's struggling, think twice. He might be sitting on wealth, knowledge, and power beyond what you could ever imagine. And when the timing's right, he'll remind everyone why underestimation is the deadliest mistake anyone can make. Number 5, talking to themselves out loud. Have you ever walked past someone who seemed to be having a full conversation, only to realize they were completely alone? That's a Sigma man in his natural state. They talk to themselves, not because they're losing their mind, but because that's how they process thoughts, sharpen ideas, and solve problems. Most people think internally. Their ideas bounce around inside their heads, often tangled in a mess of emotions, distractions, and doubts. Sigma men, on the other hand, externalize their thinking. They speak their ideas out loud, debate both sides of an argument, and even challenge their own logic, all outside their head. It's not about seeking answers from others. It's about hearing their own reasoning clearly, without interference. This habit often surprises people. They might find a Sigma man muttering in the grocery store, arguing with an invisible opponent in his car, or pacing his room like he's in the middle of an important meeting. To others, it looks strange. To Sigma men, it's completely normal. Why? Because this method works. Speaking their thoughts out loud forces them to be clear. It sharpens their decision-making, helps structure ideas, and cuts through mental clutter. It's like running a system diagnostic on their own mind, testing theories, refining strategies, and breaking down complex problems into logical steps. And let's be real, who's going to give them a better answer than themselves? They don't rely on baseless opinions or groupthink. They trust their own ability to analyze, adapt, and solve problems independently. But here's what most people don't understand. Sigma men aren't talking to themselves in the traditional sense. They're thinking on a higher level, using spoken words as tools to refine their intelligence. So if you ever see a Sigma man deep in conversation with no one around, don't interrupt. You're witnessing a mind sharpening itself in real time. Number 6, creating distance intentionally to test others' reactions. Sigma men don't let just anyone into their life blindly. They test people, and one of their favorite ways to do this is by creating distance intentionally. They pull away, go silent, and disappear for a while just to see who notices, who respects their space, and who panics. This isn't about playing games. It's about revealing the truth. When they retreat, they watch closely. Does someone get desperate, bombarding them with messages and demanding attention? That's a red flag. Neediness and emotional dependency push them away instantly. But if someone gives them space, stays calm, and moves on like nothing happened, that shows strength, self-respect, and emotional stability. Qualities Sigma men truly respect. This habit isn't just about testing individuals. It's about protecting their energy. Sigma men are selective about who they allow into their world, and they refuse to entertain emotionally fragile, manipulative, or overly dependent people. They want people who can handle distance, who don't take things personally, and who understand that solitude isn't rejection, it's preference. And here's the brutal truth. If someone fails this test, they won't even realize it. Sigma men won't argue, explain, or give second chances. They'll just slowly erase them from their life. No drama, no confrontation. They don't waste energy on people who can't handle their nature. But if someone passes a test, if they respect their space, don't chase, and stay secure in their absence, they take notice. And that's when the real connection begins. Sigma men gravitate toward people who don't need them, but choose them. So if a Sigma man pulls away, don't panic. Don't chase him. Let him be. Because how you react to his silence will determine whether you stay in his world or become another name he quietly deletes. Number 8. Disappearing for days or weeks without explanation. One day they're present, the next they're gone. No warning, No explanation, no dramatic exit. Just silence. Sigma men have a habit of vanishing off the radar for days, sometimes weeks, and when they return, they act like nothing happened. Most people disappear because of chaos, relationship drama, burnout, or crises they can't handle. For Sigma men, it's different. They choose to step away. It's not about running from problems. It's about protecting their peace. The world is noisy. People are draining, and constant interaction is exhausting. So every now and then they disconnect. No texts, no social media, no updates. Just pure solitude. During these periods, they're not being lazy or wasting time. They're recalibrating. This is when they reflect, plan, and reset. Some dive into books, learn new skills, or indulge in deep thinking. Others simply exist in silence, letting their mind breathe without the weight of expectations. And when they come back, they don't give explanations. Why? Because they owe none. Their time belongs to them, and they refuse to be guilted into constant availability. If someone can't handle their need for space, that's their problem, not his. This habit filters people. The insecure will panic, overthink, and demand answers. The mature will respect the space and welcome them back like they never left. Sigma men pay attention to this because it reveals who truly understand them and who just wants access to them. So if you know a Sigma man and he suddenly disappears, don't take it personally. He's not avoiding you. He's not lost. He's just stepping into his own world for a while, because that's where he finds his strength. Number 9, rejecting the need to be understood. Most people crave to be understood. They want others to see them, validate them, and grasp who they are. Sigma men have completely abandoned that need. They know they're different, and they don't care to explain themselves. From an early age, they realize that no matter how much they try to fit in, people will always misunderstand them. Their quiet nature is mistaken for arrogance. Their independence is read as detachment, and their refusal to follow trends or social norms confuses those desperate for approval. Instead of wasting time convincing others of who they are, Sigma men simply let people think what they want. They walk their own path, with or without approval. They don't spend energy debating their beliefs, justifying their choices, or proving their worth. Why? Because they understand something most don't. Explanations change nothing. Those who truly respect them don't need explanations, and those who demand them will never truly respect them. This mindset makes them untouchable. They don't need to be liked. They don't adjust their personality to fit someone's expectations. And they certainly don't seek validation from the masses. Instead, they focus on what matters, honing their skills, mastering their mind, and living life on their terms. Of course, this unsettles people. Society teaches everyone to conform, to explain themselves, to ask permission to be different. But Sigma men refuse to play that game. If someone doesn't understand their way of thinking, their silence says it all. That's not my problem. So if you ever wonder why a Sigma man doesn't bother defending his choices, the answer is simple. He doesn't need to. He's already accepted that not everyone will get him. And instead of wasting time trying to prove his worth, he uses that time to move forward, leaving the confused behind. Number 10, secretly observing people like a social scientist. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like someone was studying you, even if they weren't saying a word? That's a Sigma man. While most people engage in small talk, they silently analyze everything. Body language, tone shifts, eye movements, even the pauses between words. To them, human interaction isn't just communication, it's intel. They're like uncredited social scientists, constantly collecting data. A fake smile, a nervous tick, a forced laugh. Sigma men notice it all. They don't just hear what people say. They decode what's really being said beneath the surface. Is someone lying? Hiding their true intentions? Trying to manipulate the situation? Most take words at face value, But Sigma Man peels back the layers, seeing what others overlook. This isn't paranoia or judgment. It's understanding. Sigma men have no interest in trivial talk or forced pleasantries. Instead, they observe, absorb, and assess. They know actions speak louder than words, and patterns reveal more truth than promises. And because they don't seek attention, they can stay in the background unnoticed, watching how people behave when they think no one's looking. This skill makes them impossible to deceive. Manipulators hate them because their usual tricks don't work. Fake people feel uneasy around them because, deep down, they know they're being seen for who they really are. Meanwhile, those with genuine intentions find them surprisingly perceptive, often understanding them better than they understand themselves. But here's the real power of this habit. Sigma men don't just analyze others. They analyze themselves. They track their own emotions, reactions, and weaknesses with the same cold precision. This constant self-awareness sharpens their instincts, letting them navigate life with an almost unfair advantage. So if a Sigma man stares at you a little too long, don't assume he's being rude. He's just doing what he does best, seeing you in ways you didn't even know you could be seen. Number 11, doing things the hard way just to prove they can. Most people look for the easiest, quickest, most convenient way to do things. Sigma men intentionally choose the hardest route, not for attention, not to show off, but to prove to themselves they don't need comfort. If there's a simple path and a challenging one, they'll take the challenge. Not because they enjoy the struggle, but because they trust it. It sharpens their skills, tests their patience, and keeps them mentally alert. They don't want to rely on technology, trends, or systems they don't control. So they learn things the old-school way, hands-on crafts, building from scratch, mastering skills most wouldn't even attempt. If they need to fix something, they won't call a professional without trying to solve it themselves first. If they need to learn a skill, they won't look for a quick tutorial. They'll go deep, understanding every layer of the process. To others, this seems inefficient. To Sigma men, it's self-sufficiency. This mindset goes beyond tasks. It's a way of life. They resist anything that makes them too comfortable because they know comfort breeds weakness. They see how modern conveniences make people lazy, dependent, and soft. They refuse to be that person, so they demand more of themselves in ways others wouldn't. They'll walk instead of taking an Uber, cook from scratch instead of ordering food, read physical books instead of relying on summaries. Not because they have to, but because they want to, because they know every extra effort, every unnecessary struggle, every supposedly inefficient choice makes them sharper, stronger, and less dependent on the system. Sigma men aren't just proving they can do hard things. They're proving they don't need the easy way. And that kind of mindset is what makes them truly unstoppable. In conclusion, your weird habits are your greatest strength. Society has a habit of labeling anything unconventional as strange, difficult, or even wrong. But Sigma men don't exist to fit in. They exist to understand, adapt, and master their own path. The very things that make them seem odd to others are what give them an edge. They ignore calls and texts not out of rudeness, but because they refuse to be chained to social expectations. They mentally exit conversations not out of disrespect, but because their mind prioritizes what truly matters. They obsess over random topics because they crave knowledge, not approval. Everything they do, whether it makes sense to others or not, is part of their unique wiring, and that's what sets them apart. The world often pressures people to be the same, but the Sigma man thrives in his difference. He doesn't explain, he doesn't seek permission, he doesn't adjust to make others comfortable. He simply is, and that in itself is power. So if you've ever been made to feel like your habits are weird, take it as a compliment. You weren't built to be predictable. You were built to be exceptional. Keep walking your path. Keep refining your mind. Keep doing things your way. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't belong to those who fit in. It belongs to those who stand out and never apologize for it. Thank you for watching, and God bless you. God bless you.